Organise Your Life and Get Ahead, a presentation by Diversity Education Training College. By the end of this session, we will have spoken about ways to identify your main activities, how to break them down into tasks, prioritise effectively, relate tasks to time, and make action plans. Time management is an essential skill to develop for learning and work. Increasingly, students and workers are encouraged to take responsibility for their own work. Through this discussion of simple time management techniques, we will help you to optimise your output and use time effectively. There are some key skills that you need to learn to manage your time. Be aware. Be aware of all your commitments, study, social, and family. Be realistic. What time demands do they make? What sort of priorities are they? And how important are they to you? Make plans. What actually needs to be done? When does it need to be done? And how will you do it? And monitor and evaluate your progress. How are you getting along? Are you on schedule? Are you on track? And what can you do to get back on track? Time management revolves around one essential rule, that time is not allocated randomly. You must actively connect time amongst all of your activities. One key step to successful time management is to be aware of all the demands upon you and your time. Only then can you really plan effectively. When considering the demands that you have made upon you, you should include course and study requirements, spare time activities, work and family commitments, as well as time for eating, sleeping, shopping, feeding the pets, and so on. Once you've identified all of the demands on you, try breaking them down into smaller tasks. This is a key process for you to learn. Think. Take time to develop an overview of all the activities and tasks that you want to achieve. What are your aims and objectives? Plan. Now take the time to draft an outline of the plan. How you're going to start, when you will finish, how you're going to do it. Then get to it. Write it. Do it. Flesh out the plan. Do the tasks that you want to do. Put in the detail. And finally, check. See how you're going. Review your plan. Revise it if you need to. Breaking activities down into tasks presents you with a more realistic approach to allocating your time. Be realistic. Time management is essentially the process of connecting tasks to the time periods that you have available. You'll need to learn how to estimate how much time any one task will take in order to slot it into an available time period. There are different types of activities which demand different sorts of time. We need to consider the type of work that needs to be done and then the consequent amount of time needed to do it. In other words, writing a long first draft of an essay is best done in a longer time period with short breaks to help your concentration. But reading some lecture notes or doing a pop quiz online can be done in the odd 10 to 15 minutes. You may also like to think about where you need to carry out your study and work tasks. While it may be convenient to carry out study in the classroom or in the library, and an essay may be best written at a desk, not every study task needs to occur at a certain time or environment. You might find reading while you're catching a bus or train, or if you've got 15 minutes spare at lunchtime, this may be an ideal time to review online learning tasks. So when identifying the tasks that you have to do, remember to ask yourself, what type of task is it? Where do I need to be to effectively carry out that activity? Plans are essential. They are an essential tool in structuring your work. However, you must be sure that you don't end up just spending all your time making plans rather than actually doing the work. Plans can take many forms, but should ideally be something that works for you. You can use calendars, task lists, tick sheets, or to-do lists. Electronic calendars can be very useful because you can set reminders and timeframes for your tasks. Sticking to a plan is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Plans should therefore be as realistic as possible. As your experience of studying online or working grows, you will have a greater understanding of how long each particular task will need. Where possible, try and complete your daily and weekly work plans. Avoid letting too much carry over from one day to the next. This creates backlogs of tasks, which may be rather difficult to resolve. When you're faced with so many different demands on your time, it's essential that you're able to prioritise your workload. The many different factors that will affect this: your personal motivation, oncoming deadlines, confidence with the task, or how hard the task is. Prioritising your time involves juggling each of these, relating individual tasks to each other and putting them in the wider focus of all of your commitments. Ask yourself, what is urgent and what is important? What is not urgent and what is not important? What's routine? What can I do in advance? In other words, you need to be aware that some things and some tasks will demand immediate attention, some things can be predicted and planned for, and some tasks are best prepared and done in advance. Where does that task fit? Classify it. Is it urgent and important, or important but not urgent? Apply this to your work plans, tackling urgent and important things first, but also remembering to allocate time ahead for important but non-urgent work. If you make every step of an activity explicit, you'll get an overview of all of your commitments and be better able to prioritise these accordingly. You will rarely have the space and time to focus on one particular area of work. You will therefore need to juggle multiple tasks and activities within a constrained timetable. If you've effectively highlighted all of the tasks demanding on your time and planned for each and every one of these, you're less likely to become overwhelmed by the amount of work you need to do. A clear barrier to motivation is a lack of certainty or focus. How can you be motivated if you're unclear as to exactly what you will be doing? A clear focus is important. The thought of starting a task that seems endless may be too daunting for words. Set times and periods that you will work on a task. Take real breaks. Leave your work area completely. Have a stroll outside. Make a cup of coffee. And reward yourself when you've completed a difficult work period. Variety needs to be introduced, so you're not always doing the same thing. Vary the types of tasks that you're doing. Small tasks with large ones. And change your work area occasionally to re-stimulate your mind. Occasionally it is very hard to be motivated to complete some of the tasks you will be asked to undertake. They are just not interesting. However, tasks such as these must be done as part of coursework and work requirements. It may be useful then to set aside specific time to tackle these boring tasks, rewarding yourself with more interesting work later on. It can be helpful when planning your work to consider your level of interest in each task. Do you really want to spend 3 hours tackling boring work? Perhaps that should be broken down into smaller, more manageable tasks so that you can intermingle boring and interesting activities. In the end, organising yourself will help you to succeed in your chosen study or work career. Time spent planning your learning will pay off in the long run on 2 levels. Firstly, you're going to avoid last-minute rushes because you've divided work into smaller tasks. This definitely avoids treating the big, unimaginable, difficult task as something that's too hard to do and you may never actually tackle it. Secondly, taking some time to plan a piece of work will give you the opportunity to develop an overview of the activity, review it, and this is likely to produce an improvement in the quality of your work. Thank you for watching this presentation on organising time. If you'd like more information on the course and other courses, visit us on our website www.diversityed.net.